How to Engage in Play, Part 3. Ask open-ended questions. In this video series, I'm talking about how to engage in play with young children, following the 5 key principles in my book, Learn to Play. So today we're going to focus on principle number 3, which is ask open-ended questions. If you watched my last video, you'll know that principle 2 focused on engaging in meaningful conversation. So today is just an extension of that. Now that we know we need to have meaningful conversation with children, how do we engage in that conversation? And principle 3 is really important in terms of asking open-ended questions. As we know, communication is key when engaging with young children. To encourage learning opportunities, we need to ask open-ended questions. What does it mean for a question to be open-ended? Well, basically, it means that there's no right or wrong answer. An open-ended question will encourage creative and expressive answers from children that involve thought and critical thinking. There are no assumptions made when asking an open-ended question. For example, when a child is playing with some Play-Doh and they've made a flat disc, you might be tempted to ask, is that a cookie? Is that pizza? But that's not an open-ended question because the answer is just yes or no. Instead, you might ask, what did you make? It's really simple to ask open-ended questions. It involves children to think and express themselves. Not only are they expressing themselves, they may be building vocabulary and learning how to have an interactive exchange with their peers and with adults. To encourage critical thinking, you can also ask questions that encourage children to predict the outcome or make predictions. For example, you might ask, what do you think will happen if, or what do you think will happen when? Science is a great way for children to make predictions. If I mix vinegar and baking soda, I might ask a child, what do you think will happen when I put the vinegar on top of the baking soda? When asking open-ended questions, we need to keep in mind that we don't want to test children. The point of the questions are not to test their knowledge, but rather to encourage more conversation. So we want to get away from testing things like, what color is this, what number is that, and engage in more meaningful conversation and questions that involve more than just a one-word answer or a yes or no answer. It's important to remember that children may not answer all of your questions, and that's okay, because children may not be interested in whatever the question was, and they may not be interested to answer it. Don't worry about getting an answer to a question. It's more important to encourage conversation. So abandon the line of questioning and go on to something else. The most important thing is to make it flow naturally and not for it to feel forced. Try it out. You can also find more tips about how to engage in conversation and ask open-ended questions in my book, Learn to Play. Check it out. I am a daycare owner, early childhood educator, and author of the book, Learn to Play, where I share with parents of young children what I know about how kids learn. I'm truly committed to helping parents navigate those early years.